What if I told you a franchise that has never made the finals, a team that didn't make the playoffs last year and has been fully healthy once in 3 seasons together, is being favoured to win the Western Conference ahead of the reigning NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors? And this just isn't any poll. This is a poll consisting of coaches, scouts, and executives, and this is just one of the many reasons why the Golden State Warriors remain disrespected despite proving people wrong once again after winning a championship without Kevin Durant. But before I even talk about why it's incredibly disrespectful for the Clippers to be considered more likely to win the chip than the reigning champions, there's another disrespectful list that needs to be addressed. Yes, the Golden State Warriors were ranked 15th on a list of Sports Illustrated's best young cores, behind the New York Knicks and the Sacramento Kings. And the only reason the Warriors' young core aren't considered as good as they actually are is because the numbers don't do them justice. What do I mean by that? Well, I've talked about Jordan Poole 100 times, and I might even mention him a bit later because, yeah, he falls into the disrespected category as well, but the numbers don't do Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga justice because those guys were playing limited minutes on a championship level team. However, there were times during the season where they got legitimate opportunity and they showed exactly why the future of this team is so ridiculous. Because just take a guess at how many times Jonathan Kuminga played more than 20 minutes last season. 29 times is the answer. And guess how many times he scored double digits in those 29 games? The answer is 27 times. 27 times out of 29, or 93% of the time, Kuminga scored double digits when he played 20 or more minutes. And if you compare that to the best scorer from last year's rookie class, Draymond Green, he played 20 minutes in every game bar one, and scored in double digits 82% of the time. Now, I'm not about to tell you Kuminga is a better scorer, player, or prospect than Jalen, but these Warriors rookies need to be looked at through a different lens because they only get opportunities when players like Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green aren't playing 35 minutes a night. And Moses Moody is another perfect example of that, because there was a game in which Steph Curry and Klay Thompson missed against the Denver Nuggets, where he played 30 minutes against a full-strength Nuggets team, excluding MPJ and Murray of course, and scored 30 points, filling in for those guys. And just watch this play at the end of the shot clock, where he gets the ball against the smaller Bones Highland and drives straight into the lane before expertly spinning and banking it in with a very soft touch. Or how about any number of these plays from the same game where he was utilizing screens very similar to what the Splash Brothers have done their entire career. Now, I don't want to spend too long on the young core, but I do continue to see these guys getting disrespected as a group and as individuals. And just to further that point, ESPN ranked the top 25 players under 25. And you know who they left off? Jordan Poole. The same list that had Hero, Maxey, Bane, and Halliburton didn't have JP. A guy who can do this wasn't on the list. But anyways, let's get back to the Clippers point. Have people not learnt from last year's Brooklyn Nets that a team with injury-prone players and little to no chemistry shouldn't be considered favourites over a team that has won 4 championships together and has chemistry that is so great that even last season, when Klay Thompson was returning from injury and Draymond missed games, it didn't matter? So people might think that could happen to any team. Well, the Clippers aren't the Warriors, and expecting them to be like the Dubs is wrong, because we see it time in and time out that teams that lack the chemistry don't win the games or the championships. Now, we all know the Clippers are going to be very dangerous, but to have them ahead of the Dubs, that's just crazy. And that's just the Warriors as a whole. What about the individual side of things? Because from top to bottom, I still believe a lot of these players don't quite get the respect they deserve. Take for instance Andrew Wiggins, who was a deserved all-star, and that's good, but he didn't get a single all-defensive player vote. Gary Payton II, who was a former Warrior, got less than Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry. How does that make sense? Or how about on this list that had Kevon Looney as the 29th ranked starting center in the league after his championship run, and below the likes of Steven Adams, who he completely outplayed in the playoffs? You could talk about Steve Kerr, Draymond Green. There are numerous players and even coaches on the Warriors staff that somehow still don't really get the credit they deserve, which surely means one thing. That means all the credit should be going to the best player on the team. Well, not exactly. Because if we just think back towards the end of the regular season, what were people saying about Steph? They were saying he was not All-NBA first team, he was not on the level of Devin Booker and Luka Doncic during the regular season. And that's when I know his impact wasn't truly understood, because despite having a shooting slump, Steph was still one of the best players in the league, and it was absurd that he wasn't All-NBA first team. Just for comparison, these were the three guys' numbers and impacts during the regular season, and please try to tell me how Steph was the one that missed out on the first team. But surely by now people have realized not to doubt Steph. Well, from that same poll that I mentioned, he had one vote for potentially winning MVP this season, and whilst that's not crazily disrespectful, shouldn't Steph be the MVP favourite? Or is it just me? For starters, the back-to-back MVP, Nikola Jokic, won't win 3 in a row because that just doesn't happen. Then you have other favourites like Luka Doncic and Ja Morant, but their team's going to win nearly as many games as the Warriors because, let's not forget, the Warriors, when healthy, which was only in the playoffs, won 73% of their playoff games. So imagine if they're fully healthy during the regular season. We could see them win 65 plus if they stay healthy. And who is going to be the centerpiece of that offense? Steph Curry, coming off the worst regular season he has had in several years. If you don't think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder and be looking to add to his legacy that continues to grow, well, I don't know what to tell you. And this is what makes the Warriors so scary as a whole, because despite their key players having 4 rings, there's a lot of these players that still believe they have something to prove, like Draymond Green, who is the best defender of the generation and only has 1 Defensive Player of the Year trophy to show for it. Or how about Klay Thompson, who knows he can be much better this season after finally getting an off-season to actually work on his game and not work on his injuries. Anyways, I'd just be careful disrespecting the Warriors again, because that didn't work last year. That's all I've really got to say. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, have a great day, bye.